What's up, everybody, on this wonderful, wonderful Sunday afternoon? My name is Scott Bonds, and once again, I'd like to thank you and welcome you to joining us for an episode of The Lion's Den, where we restore kings and queens one conversation at a time. Today, Murphy's Law has kicked in very strongly, so we got a couple of glitches here. We had some bad connections, and one of our guests Alfonso McGriff III, which we talked to last week. He's on the highway presently, so he'll be joining us shortly. And then we have Lisa out of Atlanta, who's a hairstylist, and she'll be joining us. But as always, as long as I've known this young lady, Miss Ayana Graves, she's always been on point, always well put together, handles her business like no other hairstylist I've worked with probably. And I
Thank
love
you.
this. I love her to pieces. This is my girl, Ayana Graves. I'd like to say welcome to the Lion's Den. You're the first lioness to actually speak and say hello in the Lion's Den.
Thank you. Hello, Scott Bonds. Thank you for having me.
Yes, yes, yes. So yeah, we just gonna kind of chat a little bit and just give us a few minutes to get our other guests linked up here. But we got a lot of good subjects we're gonna talk about today, and I hope that my studio skills here are evolving to a place where I'm going to be able to see some of the comments and questions and things along those lines. Um, let's see here. Here we go. I'm getting it. I'm working on it, people.
All right.
So yeah, this is good. This is good. So anyway, um, you and I would just start the conversation for a few minutes, and then we just have to backtrack on some occasions, what have you. Um, I know when you worked with me at the industry, you had previously had your own salon, so you were very well versed on all the inner workings of running your own business, how a salon is supposed to be set up, so forth and so on. You were always very, very busy, as you are still legendarily busy to this day. All praises to the Almighty One on that one. But
Exactly. Yes.
so I know how busy you were and how busy I was, and a lot of other stylists that I know. But after COVID, things changed immensely, and I'm just interested to see like what have been your experiences as far as the change that you've experienced in your salon with your coworkers, with your clients, so forth and so on.
Well, once again, like you said, I have been blessed in the industry, what I'm saying, with a good clientele, being stable consistently throughout the years. There has been a slight change before COVID, after COVID. As far as myself is concerned, just as a stylist, being mindful of how to treat your clients, staying on top of the business side of it as well as your personal, because if your personal is out of whack, your business is out of whack, and vice versa. Um, the main thing for myself coming back after COVID is just pretty much maintaining, making sure everyone is on one accord with the extra cleanliness. And when I say extra, because a lot of things that we're doing should have already been taking place prior to COVID.
Absolutely,
So we're
absolutely.
just pretty much extending out a little extras now that COVID has hit.
Right,
So financially, just getting those things in order, making sure you are stocked up, making sure that the other stylists in the salon are doing what they are supposed to do as far as cleaning up behind the clients. That has been just a small challenge for myself because I have allergies, wearing the mask and the sprays, because really after each client, you really spraying down a minimum of three or more times, from the
right,
styling chair to the shampoo bowl to the dryer, and you're just making sure that you're preparing yourself for the next client that comes.
right.
Um, I did keep in touch with my clients when I was out for what 9 to 10 weeks.
Now
I
hold
did
on, hold
keep.
on, hold on. Let me interrupt for a second. So you said you was keeping in touch with your clients. That don't mean you was sneaking doing no hair now, right?
Absolutely not,
Okay,
Scott Bonds.
I'm just
No,
checking. I'm
no,
just
no.
making sure.
But
Okay.
let me tell you this, they blew my phone up. Some
Oh
of
yeah.
them blew my phone up, and then some of them knew that I wasn't budging as far as, doing hair from home and different things like that. But when
Right.
I say I kept in contact with my clients, is I kept an open relationship. Not only checking just to see and maintain just to see if they needed retail products and different things like that, but just making sure that they were safe, that their families were good. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping that relationship open.
Right.
I did sell a lot of retail products that I actually delivered to clients. Some of them I delivered to their homes, and some of them we actually met different places so that they could maintain their hair the best way that they could, being that we were out. Um, I also implemented a drawing while we were out because, as you know, if you were not completely in order as a stylist prior to COVID, you are in a worse situation after COVID. So that's
Yeah, if you were
important.
behind on some bills, boy, you really behind now.
Exactly. And those are some things
Right.
that, stylists don't really talk about. You know what I'm saying? That needs to be talked about. You know what I'm saying? Just a better relationships amongst stylists in general or whatever. But I did do a drawing. That drawing went well. I did a drawing where two people received $150 worth of services or retail products. So different things like that. And I did that on a Zoom just to implement some different things. And even as far as opening back up, you had several times where we thought we were going to open and we didn't. They were, hey, ringing your phone off the hook like, look, y'all, I will contact you and let you know when we're going to open. So when we were ready to open, I did have everything in order to open up or whatever. But it's not only about how I visualize, how I see things and what is working for me, but I see so much other things that has fallen prior to and even after, even with other stylists.
Yeah. Well, if I was talking to anybody else, I would be like really impressed with everything you said. But this is exactly what I expected because, like I said when I started out, you always be on point. And that's one
Well,
of the things
thank
I love
you.
about you.
I got some work to do. I'm still a work in progress,
We
though.
all a work in progress, and as
Yes.
long as we understand that, we all okay.
Yes.
When you think you've
Yes.
already done, that you jacked up. Oh, by the way, should we have our mask on right now?
Well, no, I think we're pretty safe because we're
We
in our
good.
own
Okay.
homes,
All right.
in the comfort of
Okay.
our own homes. So,
Right. Because
but that's a good thing that you're on point with having your mask with you.
well, I have a lot of controversial conversation about mask in the salon and outside when you walk in, just the common sense that I feel personally like people need to apply where these mask things are concerned. But we had a situation that I had spoke about, which got this conversation going earlier this week, that a salon owner that I know had a client that she was doing who was getting color, a long process color. She was in there processing for like 2 hours at this point. So she took her mask off to get some air, understandably so. She's
The
probably under
client or the stylist?
the client took her mask off. And someone else's client felt uncomfortable with that. So rather than saying something to her stylist that she was uncomfortable, or saying something to the owner perhaps that she was uncomfortable, she took a picture, and sent it to the state board. And then the state board proceeded to call this salon and give them a warning. Now I understand because I used to work for the state board for a brief period, and I know that you just get complaints, and complaints take priority over the rest of your daily schedule. So when we get those complaints on there, you have to act on those first. So I'm sure that's why they called her immediately. But what role will the state board really have, do you think, in enforcing people to wear masks? Like, are they going to start fining people if they pop up and people don't have masks? You're going to get $100 fine for each person. Does it make sense that if you under a dryer and you are 12 feet away from the rest of the people, that you can take your mask off to breathe while you're under the dryer? You're not talking to anybody. Nobody's talking to you. Like, where does the common sense come in? Or is it, or are you, I guess I could say, and the people that you've been around, following the belief that COVID is just everywhere in the air, and it could just be on anything, wherever you go, and no matter what, you have to wear that mask and protect yourself and be safe and not affect others in their safety? What do you feel about that? What have you been seeing?
Well, Well, I've had a couple of different encounters with people entering the salon without a mask on.
Right,
And
right,
I
right,
stopped them immediately because I have two signs on both sides that you can actually see from your car or from the street.
right.
And not only that, because it is mandatory now that you wear a mask out, I really feel like that it's common sense that you have a mask on, but you cannot enter the salon without a mask on, covering up your
Hmm.
mouth and nose. And I have hand sanitizer right at the door as soon as you open the door so that you can sanitize. If you want to wash your hands, you can wash your hands after you sanitize at the door before you enter into the salon.
Hmm.
Now, as far as the incident with the girl with the color, um, I know depending on what type of colors that you're getting, we as stylists have to be very mindful on the processing time. Sometimes, depending on the lift of the color, you do have a lot of fumes. So, with that being in mind, we as stylists have to take the initiative and be responsible as well with booking properly.
That's right.
Meaning, if you knew that someone was getting color, and sometimes, I mean, just spraying, wiping down every day, the fumes get locked inside of the mask. So I
Hmm.
understand that the client needs to breathe. I don't see anything wrong with it, but as a stylist, we have to be responsible and book those types of services appropriately.
Right.
Meaning, either you need to come in early one morning where there's not a lot of people in the salon, or either, what I'm saying, your coworker. Let them know,
Right.
look, I have a stylist coming. Do you think this is a good time coming? Who do you have? Because you have some people who are a little bit more cautious than others with this virus thing going on. I
Right.
had clients calling me personally wanting to know, what do you have in order? Will you
Hmm.
have masks? That's like even the shampoo cakes and stuff. Every
Hmm.
client should have a clean shampoo cake every single time. You know what I'm
Now,
saying?
now,
Go, yes,
do you have disposable capes?
absolutely.
Wow, you on point. You are really on point with that one. Okay, go ahead, continue. I just wanted to ask that
Absolutely,
question.
because you have to understand, even though we don't really know how severe the virus is, we don't know who has it. You know, putting on capes, that's like putting on a shirt. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
You're on the neck. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what people are doing when you're not looking, wiping their
Right,
nose, putting it on. You don't
right,
know,
right,
so you
right.
have
You're
to
right.
be extremely cautious. You know
Yes,
what I'm
there's a
saying?
lot of that going on too. But yeah, go ahead.
Right, exactly. So, yes, I do have disposable capes, but also I count the number of clients that I have a day. I had to go out and buy extra capes. I got
Hmm.
princess capes, I got regular capes, but I'm counting the capes. If I run out of disposable capes, if I have 7 clients that day, I should have 7 different capes for those clients.
Right, right.
Okay. And
Hmm.
I mean, yes, I mean, it's costing us more money, but at the same time, we have to be more cautious of the health because we want those clients to continue to come. And when
Absolutely.
clients watch you whether you know it or not,
Yes,
they
they
watch
do.
every move you make, and they are
Hmm.
seeing if you're going to slip up, because there's other people out there who have had a stylist that they've had for years, but they're not as clean or
Yeah.
cautious of what's going on. So they're asking, well, how does your stylist do it? And when your client is bragging on how you run your business and
Right,
what they
right.
see is going on, and especially at a time like this, believe me,
Yeah.
those clients are going to call you. Oh, I want to get in with her. Oh, I want to get in with him. What's her name? What's his
Yeah.
number? They're
Right.
asking.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, again, like that right there, that was textbook. I can tell you've been on stage a good number of times and speaking to audiences because I felt like I was at a seminar while I was just sitting there here listening to you. So, I'm sure, the people viewing this, especially those in our industry would, thoroughly and appreciate everything that you just said. It also made me think that, and this is not one of the subjects that I plan to discuss, but when I was working with GTCC's, curriculum,
Mm-hmm.
the cosmetology department, and we were trying to figure out what things are stylists missing on a whole. One of the things that I was pretty adamant about, and others agreed that, I've always been adamant about communication, proper communication, from a grammatical standpoint, let's say, and
Mhm.
I had this epiphany not that long ago, because as I was listening to you, you're real articulate and you speak well and proper and all that kind of stuff. But I know just as well as I know that a lot of people in the industry don't necessarily speak like that, and I always kind of, like, for a long time, like, if somebody says something incorrectly, right? For example, this is one of my greatest pet peeves, by the way. You ever hear someone who says graduation, not graduation, but graduation? You see what I'm saying? You ever talk to somebody and they say, well, I would have understood that if you would have been more Pacific. So, like, that right there, I used to hear people say Pacific so often that I said, well, hold on, shit, maybe something wrong. Maybe I don't understand the difference between specific and Pacific. So I looked it up just to make sure I was right, but like I said, I had this epiphany that your usage of grammar, or good grammar or the lack thereof, it really has no bearing or reflection of your success level. Because it's a whole lot of people now in 2020 that you almost don't know what the hell they saying. You know what I mean? But we sitting there watching them on CNN and on shows and all this kind of stuff. They're making money. They're living this grand lifestyle. And at the end of the day, and then also, when a person, people have different types of intelligence, right? So
Yes.
you might not be able to speak a good sentence, but you might be the most talented stylist ever,
Right.
different things. So you might be a great mathematician, but English wasn't your thing, so everybody has their own specialized gift or skill. But I just really realized that you can't really look at people and be like, oh, you hear how she said, you hear what he said. You can't judge people like that.
No, you cannot.
But anyway, I just wanted to say that because that's what, listening to you articulate so very well, it made that come to mind. So, boy, it might just be me and you here,
Hey, that's okay.
waiting.
Let's go.
But anyway, so I had another question. This is going to change it up a little bit. But you being a very attractive young woman, you look fly every place you go, in the whole nine. You roll with other people that look like that too. And I know that guys are always giving you compliments, right? So I'm the kind of guy, I compliment women all the time, just randomly. She might be pregnant. I say, excuse me, you are absolutely beautiful. You're just radiant, as you stand there, and she'll say thank you, and I just keep it moving.
Right.
So when I give women compliments, I just compliment because it's just me trying to be nice and make someone feel good, make somebody's day a little bit better, and then I keep it moving. But so many dudes, if you give a woman a compliment, those are some really nice shoes you have on there, and she says thank you, in that dude's mind, he's like, oh snap, she said thank you, I'm about to holler at her now, and that's not what it means a lot of times. Like, do you get harassed? Do you find yourself in awkward positions when, somebody tries to just compliment you and you try to be nice and respond, and then it becomes a whole situation?
Lately, it's like the older I get, no, I really haven't had those experiences. But I have had people to compliment me, and I say thank you. But sometimes, depending on how the approach is or what they say, I may give them the look like, no, I'm not that girl. Not don't approach me like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Because
right,
there's a way when giving a compliment, it can be respectful as well as being disrespectful.
right, right. So you said as you've gotten a little older, and when we get a little older, a lot of times, at least most of us, at least, we seek to have longer term relationships, and a lot of us hope to get married and all that kind of stuff. A lot of us have been married more than once. That would include me. I'm in that group. What do you think about marriage? And I know that's kind of a large leap from the question I just asked, but I working around women, all these years, I've heard so many stories and I've watched so many people, um, they go to college, they have a boyfriend, they have their breakups, then they meet somebody, and they fall in love, then they get engaged, and they get married, and they have children. And I just watch it all evolve into something that they never expected. Like, how do you feel? Like, are you trying to get married? Like, do you want to be married one day? Because a lot of women who are successful, yes, they do need male companionship, but they don't need it at a high price. It's going to take a toll on them. They can get that. So, like, how do you feel about that? What's your future outlook on where you want to end up?
Well, I am currently engaged right now as we speak. Marriage, I feel like I have personally never been married. So this would be my first marriage. Marriage could be a great thing. I have heard from all different types of people, different mentalities from A to Z on marriage, different things about marriage. And I really feel like it's on the individuals. I've heard different scenarios of people saying, oh, we got married too soon. Oh, I got married at the perfect timing and different things like that. I feel like over the years, people change. No one ever stays the same, no matter how you look at it.
That's right.
As far as being in a relationship, I used to believe that, oh, you really have to be like-minded to be married, but not always, because different people come from different backgrounds, different scenarios, brought up in different home, I'm saying, single parent
Mm-hmm.
home. Maybe their grandparents have raised them in homes where, they did not have a mother and father. And as time go on in the years, you learn and you grow. Me, myself, my parents were married, but they were divorced for so many years to where I grew up in a single parent home.
Mm-hmm.
So different things that I experienced in my childhood and different things I experienced as a preteen, teenager, what I'm saying, as a young adult, and even now, I can look back because I have friends that are in different fields that have educated me on different stuff, just listening, having a good friendship circle. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things that I know that I experienced myself in relationships are things that I may have experienced or seen as a child growing up.
Right, right.
So being connected with the right circle,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
The
right,
people, when I say circle, I mean the people that are close to you. That makes a
right,
huge difference to me as far as growth as well when it comes to relationships. You know what I'm saying?
right, right.
Relationships do work. It all depends on the individuals. Once you get together as a couple, you have so many major differences, and at first it's lovely. So
Mm-hmm.
you think,
Right,
what I'm saying, as time go on, you build a different type of bond, and
right,
then you start getting to the gut of
mm-hmm.
who you really are, who
Right,
they really are.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Why do I do things like this, or why do you do things like that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of looking in the mirror and being able to say, this is who I am. These are the things that I do because of this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Counseling to me is major. And I feel like I was one that used to think counseling was, oh, for crazy people, or
Right, right.
hey, counseling, I'm not doing no counseling. I mean, I really honestly think that every relationships need to go through some sort of counseling, whether
Right.
it's with your pastor or whether it's with a professional counselor, because a lot of times when you're in relationships, different relationships, depending on how strong or how weak that person may be, whether it's the strong man and the weak woman, or the weak woman and the strong man, if
Mm-hmm.
you are not in a relationship where one can continue to pull each other up through different situations and circumstances, it's going to fail. But at the
Right.
same time, you have to be honest with one another and get the right type of help. So many times I feel like African American men hold in so much
Mm-hmm.
stuff that was deeply embedded in them, and it comes out in when you get into a relationship with that
Yes,
significant other.
absolutely. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
if
hold
you
on.
don't have,
Let me just applaud. Let me applaud that one because go ahead. I'm gonna tell you why I'm doing that, but go ahead.
yeah, and I just feel like if you don't have that strong person, and I don't want to say woman because it could be vice versa, and it could be that woman is weak or got some issues, or vice versa, that man or whatever. But if you
Right,
don't have anybody that's strong enough to hold themselves up, to be able
right.
to hold you up, to get through whatever that is deep embedded in those corners and those crevices within yourself, it
Mm-hmm.
will fail. And then
Mm-hmm.
it continues to cycle on to another relationship. It's
Right.
another problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so much when it comes to relationships,
Yeah.
and
That's
it's not always the man, and it's not always the woman, but you have to learn to work together. You got to
right.
put God first. You got to communicate. You know what I'm saying? You can't be embarrassed because of your situations or your circumstances or something that may have happened in the past. You have to let all of that out. You can't hold anything back.
Right. Right. Yeah. That was my other guest that I told you was stuck on the highway. I'm not going to answer the phone because I just can't roll like that. But I'm going to just I'm very comfortable and I'm very much enjoying this conversation that you and I are having. So if our other get two guests, Lisa and Alfonso, don't make it this time around, we'll have them on next week's show and we'll talk about some other things because this is a really good conversation. Um, you mentioned the importance of black men in counseling in general. Um, that was what motivated me to create the Lions Den, and it's called the Lions Den because it was created for men, but black men specifically, to come together amongst one another and talk about things that typically we're taught to not talk about. We're taught to hold them in, not cry, be tough, be strong. And what I know personally is that when you do that, everybody else thinks you're okay, but you're falling apart from the inside. And
And
by the time you realize it, it's already affected everybody that you love and everything you've worked hard for in all. And so I wanted to create a space that we could come together and just talk about some real things. One of the first shows I did was about fatherhood. And one of the questions I asked the guys were, when was the last time you cried and what was the reason? And like it got deep like instantly,
wow.
and all the dudes who were a part of that show, which I like to have them back on here soon, they all called me individually, independently as we left that night and told me how much talking about those things really helped them out
Mm-hmm.
and how they really enjoyed the show and they want me to keep doing it, so forth and so on. And surprisingly, anytime I just meet like a random dude someplace and we start to talk and I tell them about the Lions Den and what it's all about, they're like so excited. Like you would expect so many dudes based on what we see externally to be like, oh yeah, you got a mental health show, word up. All right, man. But that's not what I've been getting. I've been
Right.
getting embraced for talking about some of the things that I'm trying to discuss, openly with people. And that's why we say we're restoring kings and queens one conversation at a time. That's where that comes from. Um, with with relationships, I've always heard so many women talk about how men cheat, how men just dogs, how men do this and do that. And I know that men, and I'm going to say we do some things sometimes, no doubt about it. But are women catching up with the level of corrupt suspect stuff that brothers have been doing for years? Like, have women gotten fed up to the point where they're like, yeah, all right, we about to even the game out. I ain't gonna be the one to get played. Like, what do you think about that? And what do you see amongst your circle of friends?
Well, because I'm a lot more mature now than I was yesterday. um, I feel like when men cheat or do little things, I feel like as a woman, we're definitely smarter and stronger than you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably have already done it, but not to the magnitude to where you guys have done it. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, right.
And then not only that, when you're in a relationship, why do you guys cheat? Like what do you get out of it?
Mm-hmm. Are you asking me the question?
Yes, I'm asking.
Look, that's wonderful. We on the same page because I was thinking to myself, I hope she asked me something. I hope
Yes.
it don't be something too tough that I can't really answer in this public
Yes.
forum. But I'm a very transparent person, and that question right there I get asked all the time with clients, and it really generates and stimulates some extremely good conversations.
Okay.
Okay, so why do men cheat? Men cheat for a number of different reasons. Um, some men grew up seeing that's the norm for a lot of men. It's a masculine thing. It's an ego thing. If you got women, you got more than one woman and you can handle them, you can play them and you can get away with it. Like a lot of dudes grew up with that and that became what they wanted to be like. Some dudes grew up in a household where they may have saw their father be a loyal husband, loyal father, and so forth and so on. And then their parents got divorced because his mom cheated. That formed an opinion and made a strong impression on that person. And he was like, yeah, I'm never going to let myself get played like that. I'm going to always have one ace in the hole, And then, man, I can name a lot of reasons. I'm going to name a couple of more, but, sometimes, and this is a big, big, big topic right here, boy. Sometimes, or many times, women use sex as a reward and as a punishment. And as a man, I'm down for sex as a reward anytime. Reward me. You see what I'm saying? But to punish me, and then it gets out of hand, like you mad about something that's really petty in the grand scheme of things, and you're going to choose to just not be in the mood or not, be having a headache or be tired or whatever the reason may be for like 2-3 weeks. Come on now, you setting yourself up for failure. You might be able to do that once, but if it's a habitual thing, you asking for some kind of problem at some point. That's just what I know from the friends that I have. And then women and dudes don't cheat, if they're in a relationship where they're supposed to be in love or married or what have you. When most dudes cheat, they don't cheat because they don't love their wife. I don't think any man that I know who's ever cheated has cheated because they don't love their woman. They cheat because in most men, there's something that, like, you have to have an extreme desire to be monogamous. You have to work at it every single day you walk out your door. I tell people, you have to have a desire to be monogamous and faithful because everything outside of your front door of your home is set up for you to fail. You get in your car, you turn some music on, somebody talking about hitting it, this, that, and the third. You turn the TV on, you see cheating, you see fine women walking around everywhere and all this kind of, like, everything that's around us is programming us to fail. So you got to have an inner desire to succeed in your relationship. Oh man, it was something else I wanted to say. Okay, so in order for a man to not cheat successfully, I feel like, well, let me speak for myself. Okay. If you've been hurt by a woman because that woman cheated on you and it was a woman that you were really in love with, and you experienced that kind of pain personally, then when you are presented with temptation, an intelligent man who has some wisdom and some growth, he reflects on the pain that he's experienced, and he should know that he would never want to inflict that kind of pain on his woman today. You see what I'm saying? To me, I feel like when you go through a situation like that, as painful as it may be, when it's over, you should really be grateful because that's probably all the karma that you created for yourself, and it just hit that ass. You know what I'm saying? And now You went through that heartache, that heartbreak, that pain and suffering. Now you got a clean slate. You got a chance to start again fresh. So the next woman you get, or man you get, and you fall in love, you get to actually start fresh from that point. You know what I'm saying? So when a man has had enough experience in relationships, in true relationships, not just hitting and moving, but true loving relationships with women, then you should mature to a place where you understand the hour of pleasure and fun that you might take a chance to experience. It's not worth what you really have. And at the end of the day, a man has to have value in his woman. As long as a man sees true value in his woman, he's not going to put that. He's not going to jeopardize that. But if a man begins to take his woman for granted, and she don't even do this, she don't do nothing, man. She be tripped, man. See, the value starts to decrease, and that appreciation starts to dissipate, and all of a sudden, he looking every day. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, you always have to be of great value to your spouse, whether you're the male or female. Your value has to constantly at least maintain, but it should grow over time. And that's my answer.
Right. Okay. That was a good answer.
Good answer. Good answer. Okay, that's good stuff.
I can agree with that, but lack of communication creates a lot of other issues as well.
Absolutely, communicate. And see, here's the thing. I always say, I think that men and women, we really not created to understand each other, because that shit don't ever happen. It just don't happen. We always communicate differently. I think that God made it like that because we like his reality TV. He be watching us, be like, they still ain't figured out. They ain't gonna figure each other out. You know what I'm saying? It's just how it works out. I don't understand it, but yeah, I think that that communication thing is a big thing. What was I gonna say? I should have wrote it down. It was something that you said that I wanted to talk about, but anyway, I'm glad you are engaged and doing well in your relationship, and I hope all that works out, and I can't wait to get my invitation to the wedding and meet this super lucky young man. Can't wait. I'll be looking for my invitation. You got my address, right?
No, but I have your contact information.
Okay, I'll make sure you get it. Okay, so I want to move on to something else. A lot of people, with all the things that we're dealing with right now, a lot of people kind of blame our president, your president, Donald J. Trump. A lot of people of the belief that the key to things getting better is to get Donald Trump out of the White House. Now, I'm not a political person, and I start these conversations on my page, and people be going in, and they think I'm a Republican, they think I'm this, and they just be going in. I comment for a little while, but then I just let them kind of go and just, I let them do their thing. I just like to create good conversation, but I'm not a political expert by any means, hardly at all. I don't believe in the political system on a national level like the average person does, and I get a lot of people coming at me sideways for that kind of thing. But I maintain I am who I am, and that's just what I believe from what I learned and what I know. Do you think that getting Donald Trump out the White House is the key to most of the problems that we have, or a large majority of the problems that we're having right now?
Well, I don't know how to answer that question in a good way, but
no, it don't have to be in a good way. You got to just
personally, I'm not a political person at all. I don't, you know what I'm saying? I just don't be in tune with all of that. But yes, I do want your president, Donald Trump, out of office. I think things would be better. Something is just not right with him, within him, not even as a president, but with him as a person. I don't agree with him.
Right.
Yes, I do want him out of office.
Yeah. I feel you. So do you think that, let's just say hypothetically speaking, Joe Biden wins, because that's what most black people these days and a lot of other people, are hoping for, in hopes of removing Donald Trump. Is that going to be better? Is that going to make a real difference, a noticeable difference? What do you think?
Just my opinion. I just feel like anybody in office at this point besides Donald Trump.
Right, right. Okay. And I think that's the sentiment of most people. And I could even say, as much as I can feel that way, I feel that way too. I think that Donald Trump, my brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law, he won The Apprentice, Randall Pinkett. He won The Apprentice one year, and he worked for Donald Trump. And he spoke at A&T's commencement. He was the keynote speaker at A&T's commencement a few years ago. And he told me that back then, he told me Donald Trump was a racist. Before all this stuff came up, he said it's good for the exposure and experience or whatever, but he said he's a straight up racist. I hope I'm not going to get anybody in trouble for saying that, but I saw him on a documentary and he said that anyway, so we should be good. But I think that the train still has the same destination, but it'll just look differently. See, Joe Biden, he got that swag, my father used to always say, Joe Biden put that smile on him, boy, it's over. He get that smile on him, had that little hair slicked back, and people feel good. But I think at the end of the day, we end up in the same destination or the same place ultimately. I just don't believe that oh man, I'm trying not to get too deep on this thing because I don't want to stay on this topic too long, but I don't think, based on how the United States of America was set up, I don't think that there'll be anyone in that position of the President of the United States that's really going to make a tremendous difference for Black people specifically and people of color in general. People struggle with what I'm about to say, but people fail to realize that we were brought here as slaves. We were brought here to be slaves, not just for 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, 400 years, but forever. Forever. We were never meant to be inclusive in this United States of America thing. So racism hasn't really changed since then on a great level. It just moves differently. So you don't see the skinheads, Aryan Nation, and KKK out in open like that. They have these different offices and positions and so forth and so on. So they still run things, and we still are in the struggle. And we're going to remain in the struggle until, in my personal opinion, something divine actually occurs. I hope we can get ourselves together. And one of the things I wanted to talk about along those lines, where Black people are concerned, in the conditions that we're living in right now, and the struggle with the pandemic virus and all this kind of stuff, is like, during a time like this, what is the most important thing that we need to be focused on as people overall, but in the Black community specifically?
We as people of color, we have got to do better with sticking together as a whole.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That is something, it seems like, that it's not happening.
Yeah.
We have got to stick together. We have got to stop killing one another.
Right.
It's so much talent within our race that is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't work together. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We could take over so much. We could have so much more, but we're not sticking together. You got
why
this
not?
Person worried. Why? That's a great question. Why? Why?
Well,
And
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 see,
and, and you can share everything you know, everything you know, but you're gonna have that one person gonna tweak it and do it the way they want to do it, even though their way ain't been working. But
boy,
they
what you talking
refuse
about
to
right there?
do it the way that you say do it, that is working, that is successful.
Well, now that all that you just said right then, I was just picturing myself in a salon situation with people that I've known over the years and watching them do certain things, and you try and share information, impart some knowledge on people, and help them out, and they just won't
They don't
listen.
want it.
I don't know why that is, and I think that runs rampant throughout our community in all different aspects and areas of our lives. Um, I don't know why we are so hard on one another, and so we don't trust each other at all. You know, um, that's a big part of what I think our problem is. We don't have that trust, and we don't have that unity because that trust is absent in many instances. Um, every other group and race of people that either came to the United States or were brought up here, whatever, like the Jewish community, they have their network. The Asian community, they have their network. The Arabs, they have their network, so forth and so on. But the black community, we just support everybody else's network. You see what I'm saying? We don't start our own network and build from within. And that's so discouraging. Even when I look at all the local little stores that you see in the hoods and everything, they're owned by Asian folks and they're owned by Arabs and all that kind of stuff. And, the majority of them, first and foremost, there's nothing in these stores that's good for people, that's healthy for people. Everything in these stores is designed to kill the community that they're in. And so often the people in these stores have zero respect for the people who are making them wealthy. They don't have any respect for black people. And I don't understand why we don't buy these stores in our neighborhoods and run them ourselves and support them ourselves. We're not comfortable handing our money to someone that looks like us because we don't feel like whatever we're handing that money for is as valuable as if we were handing it to somebody who doesn't look like us. It makes us feel better to be able to, go to a high-end department store and buy something hot that costs $200. But when we looking at something buying from a black person and it's, 55, woo, that's a lot. I can't get no deal. You know what I'm saying? Like we always looking for a deal. You can't build no business
Always
on
want
no
a
deal and hookup.
discount.
You know what I
Ooh.
mean? So yeah, that's crazy. But I hope and pray that we get ourselves together. And I know you have two children, a beautiful little girl, a handsome young man, and I certainly have my three boys, my three sons, as I like to call them. And I think that the future really is in the hands of those children and how their parents are teaching them and the things that we're instilling in them. And I know that you are going to do your job and you're raising some amazing young men and women. And I applaud you if nobody else is applauding you for that. And I applaud all the black women and women in general who are raising good, quality, moral, respectful human beings.
Yes.
You know? Well, I'm going to close this out, and I want to again thank my guest. Didn't know it was going to be a solo lioness in
I
the building,
know.
but that's what we had, and it was a fantastic time. I want to thank Ayana Graves, and I hope we get to see you again because I'm sure people are going to want to hear more from you. So we're gonna have some future conversations talking about specific things with our industry. We're not going to veer to the left or the right. We're going to stay right on the industry and talk
Yes.
about that too because we are. Counselors, as you mentioned earlier, we talk to people constantly, and we have a large influence on the clients that we see and touch and permeate with our own spirits, and we're very important and vital people in society. We are indeed essential workers. So, with that being said, again, I thank you guys for checking us out. We're going to try and be here again and every Sunday at 4 o'clock and stay tuned for what's coming next by following me on my Facebook page. Follow us on YouTube at The Lion's Den, and just keep your eye on us because we're trying to help restore kings and queens one conversation at a time. Thank you very much. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday. Deuces.